Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where we have a very special show for you today as we have kind of wrapped up all of our football and tournament or playoff games around the area. So we are going to give you a recap of this past week's games and want to thank Eric Landrum and his crew for, what's the show called again? I'm sorry, Football Friday Night. Yay, I got it. For taking the time to do these Football Friday Night shows, as they are so informative. And it's great to get all the area coaches and folks around all kind of in one place to talk football and find out what their thoughts are. So let's head on now to this Football Friday Night, and we'll find out what everybody has to say about this past weekend's football games.
Welcome back to Football Friday Night. If you're listening to us on any of our radio stations, or if you're tuning in to us live on YouTube, we've got, I think, 11 people in the stream right now. So we appreciate all of y'all who are hanging out with us here on Friday night, 10:34 p.m. And we got another good friend of mine on the line right now, the one, the only, Mr. Carl Blaylock, live from up in, what is it, Beaverton? What's the town called?
No, it was Bowerstown.
Bowerstown.
And now I'm in Ulrichsville.
Oh, there we go.
Ulrichsville is the thing. Try to spell that correctly.
I'm not even going to try. Well, Carl, you were there. You saw what was a pretty close game, 26-22. Conotton Valley takes down the Trimble Tomcats. Give us viewers the story of this one, a bridge version.
Well, first half was a defense. It was really kind of a trial out period because you have a team that in Trimble that runs the ball a ton and doesn't see a potent passing offense really all that often. And you had a team in Conotton Valley who has that passing offense but doesn't really see a running offense very often. And so the defense has struggled in the first bit. There wasn't a stop until about midway through the second quarter. By that point, each team had already gone down and scored 2 touchdowns. It seemed like it was going to be a time of whoever had the ball last was going to end up winning the game. But we knew early it was going to come down to turnovers, and Trimble had a few big ones. They turned the ball over late. They get it stopped, finally, their first stop of the game. They get the ball back with about 1:50 to go in the first half, have an opportunity to do something, and they started taking a few big hits. Brady J6 took a few big hits towards the end of that first quarter because despite not seeing, very many running teams, Conotton Valley was very physical. And so J6 took a few big hits. He needed to take a few plays off. He wasn't 100%. He had to take a few plays off. Aiden Dixon went in. He fumbled the ball. On like about the second play of that drive. Conotton Valley got the ball, went in and scored a touchdown to take a 26-16 lead, and then Trimble fumbled the ball again. They had a little bit of a swing pass. It was actually, I believe it was a double pass, and ball just got squirted free on the tackle. Conotton Valley got the ball back, but they fumbled it themselves, and Trimble dodged a bullet there to keep that at only a 10-point game at the half. And then the second half started disastrously for Trimble as well. It rolled over onto the opening kickoff, which was kicked right at one of the frontmen of the Tomcats, bounced off of him right into a Rocket player's hand. And so Conotton Valley has the ball at the 50, going to drive to go up 3 scores. And that was, it was gut punch time for the Tomcats, and it was really impressive how well they responded. Because, it's a Phil Ferris coach team, and it's something to where you expect them to respond to those situations, but you weren't sure if they were going to. They get the stop there, and that was a big point in this game. And that next drive was probably the biggest point in that game, though. Tremble puts together one of their patented drives. How many times over the years have we said that Tremble puts together about a 15-play, takes up the whole quarter drive in for a touchdown?
Yep.
This one didn't, though, and that is something very key, is when you have those long, sustained drives, especially down 2 touchdowns. Tremble can move the ball that way, but when you have those sustained drives, that drive took 8 minutes. It stalled out at the Conotton Valley 11-yard line. They failed to convert a 4th and 8, and there was only a quarter left in that game at that point. That was a big missed opportunity. They force a quick 3-and-out for Conotton Valley, and they drive down the field, score a touchdown with 7:23 to go, an Owen Sikorsky run, make it a 4-point game, get the 2-point or they did not get the 2-point conversion on that one, but make it 26-22. They force another stop with about 4.5 minutes to go, but then again, the only time they really had, especially in the second half, they had sustained success running the ball, but if they got pushed behind the sticks, if they got put into passing situations, they weren't able to do it. And they just weren't able to go quick enough late in that game. They weren't able to go quick enough, and they ended up stalling out around the 30-yard line with about 20 seconds left. They had to be able to pass the ball because they were slow. They got the ball with about 4.5 minutes to go in the game, and it took them 2.5 minutes to move 30 yards to get around midfield, and then they had to hurry it up a lot. And that was something to where it all boils back down to you needed to be able to convert on that drive in the third quarter where you took up 8-9 minutes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, well, first off, the biggest thing that and you kind of skirt over, how about the Trimble defense making adjustments in the second half? Did they hold Conotton Valley scoreless in the second half?
They did. They did hold Conotton Valley scoreless in the second half, and now a lot of that was the fact that Conotton Valley's offense was not on the field very much in that second half. But what they started doing is they dropped 8 back in coverage. And I couldn't exactly see what they were doing with the coverages on the sideline. But they adjusted there. In the second half, they came out, they dropped 8 back, only had a 3-man rush. They weren't able to get much of a rush on the quarterback, but they were able to drop back into coverage and force him to make some tougher throws. And it's going to be something, and you're going to want to know the name next week for our Beaver Eastern folks in Adam Putnam is the guy's name, and he's
a quarterback, right?
He's a good quarterback, and not only is he a good quarterback, but he has very good wide receivers. And that's really what led to Conotton Valley's success early in this game was Putnam could put the ball in a spot, and his receiver was able to adjust and get the ball. There was one that happened right in front of me, which was just so impressive, where he threw his wide receiver open, but the wide receiver had to go get the ball, and the wide receiver was able to adjust, kind of sidestep the Trimble defender and make a shoulder-high catch. That's not something that I think you see very often in Southeast Ohio. Maybe you're Ironton, but Ironton even runs the ball more than they pass the ball. The only guy I could think of, maybe Ty Walker from a few years ago for Trimble, or not Trimble, excuse me, Ironton as a guy who could make those sort of adjustments. But 2 or 3 people in Conotton Valley could do that, and that was something that was very impressive, and that's going to be tough to match up against for Beaver Eastern. But what Trimble was able to do is they were able to lessen how much room that Putnam had to throw those balls into with dropping 8 back, and that was successful. And it also was Conotton Valley trying to figure out how to run the ball a little bit and take a little bit of time off the clock. They weren't exactly the best at that tonight, but, they did well enough to get the job done. But, they were trying to waste time and not so much score in that second half. And that's part of the reason why they slowed down a little bit. But a lot of the really good adjustments by that Trimble coaching staff that made this a closer game as well. And I'm interested to see how much Eastern Beaver is able to adjust off of that and go, hey, you know what, maybe we drop 8 back or maybe we drop 7 back, get into a dime look, because Connaughton Valley, I think maybe they had like 5 plays where they had somebody in the backfield with their quarterback. It was 5 wide most of the game. And so that's going to be something that Eastern's going to have to look at. And I'm sure they're going to look at this game, the game film tonight, to prepare for next week's game.
Yeah, and we saw this Eastern offense as well tonight. I'll not really even look close to being stopped, and should be a great quarterback duel next week with the Putnam quarterback Connor Valley and Eric Manley over at Eastern. That's a battle of 2 very, very capable Division VII quarterbacks. Yeah. So I guess you kind of started to go into that there, Carl, but I want to elaborate on it a little bit more. If, that's the game next week, it's Eastern, Connaughton Valley, for our Eastern Beaver fans out there who, again, were great tonight. What do you think the game plan will be for the Eagles if they want to keep going and go to a regional final?
Well, physicality is going to be one. Connaughton Valley, they only have 25 kids, but they are very physical. And I think this is another thing that helped Trumbull defensively in the second half. A lot of these kids are on both sides of the ball. I mean, this is a team last year that only had 19 kids. They only had 14 dressed last year for their playoff game. Yeah. Obviously this year with 25, they have a lot more, but they get tired. And so I think for Eastern, you have to be physical and you have to be methodical. You have to make them earn everything, especially, offensively, but especially defensively. Have them run all over the field. Have them chase everybody down. Have them take hit after hit after hit to where they are worn down by the end of that game. I think the big thing, if Trumbull was able to have a little bit more time late in that game, I think that they do end up winning it if they had the time to just run the ball and chip it down, because Connaughton Valley they gave up about 6-7 yards of rush. It was the only issue Trumbull had is when they got into the passing situations. If you can sit there and be physical and force, long drives for this Connaughton Valley team, they're going to be in trouble. And so that's going to be something to keep an eye on for Eastern. I think if you can keep your offense on the field and dominate time of possession, that's going to be huge towards a victory. I know that's not necessarily Eastern Beaver's style, a little bit more of a run and gun, but that might be something to where maybe you go into a little bit more of a West Coast set a little bit and slant routes, out routes, short passes that forces Connaughton Valley to be out on the field for a long time, because the longer the Rockets are on the field, the better your chances of winning the game is. Yeah,
I think that's going to be the key. And I think that, again, the Eagles, from what I saw tonight, their offense was clicking in every aspect. The thing about the Eagles offense, and I was really impressed with this tonight, is how balanced it is. They can run and they can pass the ball. They're really effective on both sides. And they got a really good running back there. Yeah. They got a great, capable quarterback, multiple receivers. A lot of trust in those receivers, too. Yeah, Wyatt Richardson is a great receiver out there. You got a couple other guys who can make plays. I think that they can match up well, but the question is going to be, that this game could very easily spiral into a shootout. It could very quickly spiral into a shootout. Well, Carl, what are some other scores and games that caught your eye from around the 7-4-0 tonight?
So, because they gave us a score update on this early, and I was very surprised. You mentioned Eastern Beaver. First of all, them, doing what they did to South Gallia tonight was impressive. Also, Dover with an incredible comeback over Tri-Valley. Did not expect to see that score at the end. I know I saw a little bit of the wildness that happened at the end of the Waterford-Fort Fry game, and I also saw that you got to keep your head on a swivel, Ethan. You got to keep your head on a swivel on a sideline.
I was watching this play. It was unfortunate I wasn't filming because this kid makes an insane catch right in front of me, and the whole team starts sprinting down, and I hear it's like a stampede of gazelles or wildebeests coming right at me, and I got out of the way enough. But
it didn't look like you got out of the way.
No, the video
on Twitter, and it looked like
the video cuts off at a bad time. I am okay. I did not. I was not harmed or fouled in any way. But
it looked like you were about to. It looked like you were about to get hit by like a car. It's like one of those things to where or for me, for a lineman, it looked like you were about to get hit by 0-1 trap. It's one of those things where you look over there and it's like, oh, hey. But no, I think those were some surprising scores. I mean, another one I was pretty impressed with, Bloom Carroll losing to Licking Valley. I know that's one that, we talked about during the week. We talked about that with Cade Williamson, obviously our Licking County guy, and it was a big atmosphere up at Licking Valley. He talked about that, and he thought that would be key, and I think that it was. Obviously they're going to have to, against Watterson, that's going to be tough for Licking Valley, but it's definitely surprising. I still think Watterson's the favorite in Division III, Region 11. I think Region 15, I still got to go Indian Valley. It's going to be Indian Valley until it's not. Division 5, Region 19, I'd say Ironton. Region 23, who is even left in Region 23? I guess Fort Fry in our area.
I would say that Northmore is the favorite.
I was going to say Northmore as well.
The way that they're playing right now, I think that they're the favorites in this region. They are sweeping people aside left and right. Grandview Heights struggled tonight against Colonel Crawford. And
only scored 13 points.
I know, and look, 13 points, wins you game. I guess it wins you some games, but it's not going to win you a game next week against a very, Fort Fry is going to punish you for those sort of mistakes. So, maybe another regional final on the cards for the cadets could be possible.
Maybe this time they can actually make it up to Canton.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It could be possible.
Before I hop out, I do want to give a shout out to the Trimble Tomcat seniors, especially Owen Sikorsky. I mean, those kids left everything out onto the field tonight. I mean, Sikorsky, you could see he had, he left everything out. That last drive, he was in and out of the ball game because he was trying to push his body, honestly, but past his limits. The final play of the game ended up being a swing pass over to him. He wasn't able to catch the ball. I don't think he was going to be able to get there anyways. It was well covered, but he just sat. He just sat there and was on the ground for about a minute. It's something that after the game, this is the last. These are the last moments for these seniors. As somebody who lost in one of those games, and I'm sure Bub. I'm not sure if you guys made the playoffs in your years when you were playing,
I got shelled by Eaton by 20.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Especially in games you feel like you were in. Like, I remember my junior year, we played in the regional final, Edgerton, against Macomb, and we should have won that game. We had a bad week of practice. It snowed that week, and on the Thursday, we were too busy throwing snowballs and not practicing, and it cost me a state title. But
looking backward,
it's something to where it's something to where those moments, especially after a loss, are so tough. But he did a good job. The entire Tomcat senior team did a really good job. They kept fighting, and they definitely could have rolled over, especially after that onside kick to start the half. They didn't. They kept fighting. That's what Phil Ferris coaches that team to do, and that's what they were able to do. And they don't come out on the right side of the score tonight, but that's going to be a team. As long as Phil Ferris is there, Trumbull is going to be a team that will do that and will fight for every inch.
Yep, and I 100% agree with you on that. That's kind of the Tomcat way. That's how they do things down there, and it's a pretty tried and true formula, and it works a lot of the time. And unfortunately, tonight they come up just short. Connaughton Valley wins 26-22. Well, Carl, enjoy your day up in Canton tomorrow. Enjoy the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Should be a nice day for it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, should be a good time. Glad you're there safe. Get home safe, and I will see you later this weekend. Thanks for helping us out all year.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we got plenty more to talk about here on Football Friday Kickoff, but we're going to take a break when we come back. On the other side of this break, I think we're going to hear from Athens broadcaster Daniel Bernard. So should have a little Athens breakdown here as well. We've had a couple more of those. So you're continuing to listen to Football Friday Kickoff. Now we're past that. So Football Friday Night, presented by General Mills. Back on Football Friday Night, it's Ethan Sargent. We got Bub Landrum here with me. Eric should be joining us here sooner rather than later, but as is typical on these Friday nights, he's always busy getting other logistical stuff done here. So that we're not 100% sure yet if we're going to go or not next week. I think we're going to have that conversation this weekend. We're going to let tonight sit. We'll have to wait and see at this point. Not a lot of our teams, unfortunately, made it through. So we're going to have to have a look. We'd love to.
Week in the 7-4.
It was a pretty brutal week for some Southeast Ohio teams. I was just talking to some colleagues of mine at Gridiron Glory. They lost. They're down to 5. It could be 6 if Miller wins, but they're down to 5 teams in the coverage area.
My goodness.
The nightmare scenario. One of my buddies just texted me. The nightmare scenario was 4. It was 4 was the bare minimum, and then this is a verbatim text. 4 teams was the bare minimum, and the nightmare scenario pretty much happened.
I would say overachieved a little bit.
I mean, losing Tri-Valley hurts bad.
Yeah, that was one I just wasn't expecting.
No, I think losing. I mean, you were gonna. There were a few games where you knew you were gonna lose one, like Ironton Portsmouth, Lulex, Logan Elm, Fairland, West Musk. But Gettenberg win is nice because I don't believe they covered Union Local. Losing Portsmouth West, losing Rock Hill, just losing Trimble.
Yeah, and then you just had a couple teams kind of cannibalize each other with the Fort Fry and Waterford.
Exactly, yep. So, well, I mean, what do you think is the biggest eye popper tonight? We're waiting for Daniel to call in. He's on the road right now, but I know he is planning on calling us in. But
it's got to be the Dover and Tri-Valley just because of the way it ended. To have confidence in your kicker to kick a 42-yard field goal after you just missed that one pretty significantly from about 28 out, 30 out. So. Yeah. I thought Dover rallying back and getting it to where they could get that field goal range and then shutting down Tri-Valley when they did have a chance to get the ball back. Yeah. So Dover, a very impressive victory.
I got 2. I'm going to start with the what was I going to do? Oh, the West Musk. That's what I was going to do. 33-7, you roll into Fairland and just stomp them. That was a stomping.
Yeah, it was.
And, now they give themselves an opportunity against Wheelersburg next week. To make something happen, make something right. Give yourself a shot, and they have a shot at their first ever regional final, and that would be something special. And then my other one, and I know we've got, I believe all 3 of our Beaver Eastern commentary crew are listening live on YouTube right now. They're in the comments. I see the comments.
They're probably at Sully celebrating.
They might be. It wouldn't surprise me. We got Mike. Mike's in the chat. Rockin' Raj is in the chat. They're all there. They're excited. Third Ferguson's in the chat. They're all ready to go.
Heck yeah. Beaver's bumping tonight.
Well, that was going to be my next one because they sent the message tonight.
They did.
You go up and this is a team again. They beat by 1 point. 1 point just 3 weeks ago. And again, I mentioned this on the pregame and I want to bring this point back up. That when I talked to Coach Tomlinson and very nice guy. And I said, Coach, tell me about that game 3 weeks ago. He's like, man, it felt like a loss. Mm-hmm. We won, but it felt like a loss. And you could tell that they kind of, they took it a little personal, that they let it be that close. And, they left no doubt tonight.
Yeah, they definitely did that.
They left 0 doubt. And it just an extremely impressive victory in all senses. And now, it's the first ever Week 2 playoff win in Eastern history. They now get the opportunity to play in their first ever regional semifinal next week against Conneton Valley. And then you've got Danville will play the winner of Miller and Steubenville Central. Again, as we start, as we hit the 11 o'clock hour here in just a second, we've got, a couple of great matchups to look forward to next week. But yeah, it's just a real just statement win.
Yeah, Eagles. I think the biggest thing about Eastern Beaver, and I think I'm ready to say it, especially after you made the notes about the records that they are breaking, they're probably the most motivated team in the high school football playoffs right now.
They are.
For only a 10-year program, everything that you do going forward, you're setting records. You're raising the bar. Eastern Beaver has the most to play for in these playoffs, and I think that's a big reason as to why you're seeing the score differential this week be so much more significant than earlier in the regular season against South Gallia.
Well, I think that's such a big difference. That's such a big, as Mike tells me not to call him Jeff. It'll be easy now because I didn't call you Jeff. We just talked to the real Jeff on the radio. So
Yeah, that was a little slip up. He took a little offense to that.
Well, I don't blame him. It's not me.
I was gonna say Jeff's crazy. Mike's crazy too, though.
And Jeff's probably still listening, and I think he'd probably agree with me on this. I think Mike's got him beating the calm factor.
Yeah.
But again, that's on me. On me, Mike.
I will say, Mike can get Sully's rocking though on a Wednesday or Thursday night.
I kind of wanna. Man, I was there. I mean, again, you guys, these Eastern guys, I gotta tell you, I went to Sully's at halftime. Got myself a personal pizza. I guess I can look up here. I got myself.
Look him in the eyes.
I got myself a personal pizza, and I got myself some cheese curds, and I got myself this nice water that I still got the good ice. They got the good like crushed ice that they have at Sonic.
Yeah,
it's my favorite type of ice, and you probably shouldn't eat it, but whatever, I still do.
I was going to ask you if you got a milkshake, but it was too cold by the time you got there.
I would have. I like milkshakes too. I could drink them when they're cold, but I was just too full. I had it was the nachos earlier, the milkshake, and I had too many nachos. So, but it was delicious. I have to go back there at some point. And the staff was all so gracious and so nice.
They're so inviting, so welcoming.
Super,
I mean, you just don't want to leave.
I mean, yeah, I was sitting there talking to them for like 10 minutes while I was waiting for them to cook the pizza. So it was really just a great night, great little spot, just a good little spot, nice little kind of hole in the wall type thing. It was really nice. I'd definitely go back for sure.
It gives off retro vibes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what he's saying. 740 show this Thursday. You'll have to talk to Eric above. Maybe I'll swing by. Maybe I'll have to swing by. I guess I've never made an appearance.
Oh, we'll be there.
Show. Maybe I'll swing by.
Listen, you don't have to. The milkshakes are worth it. I had the graham cracker at marshmallow, the s'mores one, and then I had the cookie dough one today. I'm on day 3 of 3 straight milkshakes.
Wow.
I need to slow down.
Nah, you don't need to.
I was gonna say I'll be back there Thursday next week.
Hey man, I think that might be an excuse for me to go down there and get a milkshake.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on down.
Maybe we'll hop. I haven't been on the 740 show yet. Maybe we'll make an appearance. We'll see. I'll have to check the schedule, but it should be fine because the Bobcats play on Wednesday night this week. So.
It's gonna be a busy weekday.
Yeah, we got a busy week coming up. We'll be for those of you who are listening on Pure Rock 105. We've got the Bobcat Tailgate coming back this week from Action edition of Bobcat Tailgate. We just got confirmed today. We'll be live at 4 p.m. Eastern. We got 2 hours to talk to y'all. We got a lot of stuff. We're gonna have to get a lot of stuff planned. It's probably not gonna be as crazy as it's been with there's not gonna be, unfortunately, no Bobcat Boulevard, none of the accommodation stuff. But we're still gonna have a lot of fun on the Bobcat pregame show. So we're going to talk Bobcat football. We're going to talk Bobcat athletics. It's been a busy couple of weeks for that. And we're going to talk about a lot of different other things. So make sure to tune into that Wednesday night for Bobcat football, of course, with Marty Bannister and Rob Cornelius. They'll be on the call for the Bobcats hosting Ypsilanti's finest. Eastern Michigan Eagles come to town.
Ypsilanti?
Yeah, Bobcats are 4-1. Don't look now. 4-1 in conference, 6-3. So
yeah, they got. They're tied for first. I believe with 4 teams right now.
Mm-hmm. 4-way tie with Miami, Bowling Green, and there's Western Michigan.
Yeah, and they just took their first loss to NIU this week.
Toledo is sniffing around. Mm-hmm. Toledo is absolutely sniffing around. Well, speaking of Athens and speaking of the Bulldogs, we have got. Hopefully, safely driving home, probably on Route 77 right about now. We got Daniel Bernard, the voice of the Bulldogs. Daniel, how we doing?
Hey, good. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, doing good.
We're doing all right. You, how far are you into this drive?
Yeah, we got about an hour and 15 or so left to go, so we're a little over halfway back.
All right, well, we're making some progress.
Pretty quiet drive back, so knock on wood.
We'll help you pass some time here in the car ride with talking a little bit about Athens football. And really, let's start off with this game. Obviously, 35-14 the final. Athens end up falling just a bit short to Steubenville. But from what I was seeing and what I was reading, they put up a great fight and they fought very valiantly.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the score is one thing. Athens scored twice in the final 4 minutes of the game. So they were down 35-0 at one point. It was 21-0 at half. Steubenville's offense was just, that's one of the best offenses that I've seen in a long, long time. Yeah. Probably one of the best I've seen in Southeast Ohio, if you still want to call them Southeast Ohio. But, their quarterback, Aiden Davis, his ability to throw on the run was just unlike anything that Athens has seen all year. Their tight end, Nolan Blackburn, he just got open every play. He made a spectacular catch on a deep ball, 50-yard play. I mean, yeah, it's just that when I talked with Coach White yesterday, I asked him what stood out on film when he watched film on Steubenville, and he said, in short, everything. And everything stood out to me tonight. Like that was backed up. They are a very, very good football team. But yeah, I mean, you talked about Athens competing and stuff. They had multiple chances in the first half. They were in the red zone twice. Daniel Highland overthrew Weston Wheatley on a little wheel route that was a walk-in touchdown if it's on the money in the red zone, and then they got down 4th and 1 from the 2-yard line and shot themselves in the foot again with a false start, and then couldn't get in. So they had a couple chances in the first half to make it an interesting game. They just couldn't find a way to do it, and then Steubenville ended up running away with it. But, Alex Piro got in the second half with about 4 minutes left. Leo Martin got a touchdown, so they got their they got a couple of those seniors, one final score, so that was good to see.
Good.
But yeah, it was a lot closer than the score really looked because Athens was able to move the ball very well.
Yeah,
Alex Piro was really strong on the ground again.
Yeah, that was what I was reading, is that Piro was having himself a very nice night.
Yeah,
I think the 3rd or 4th most yards in Athens playoff history, which when you think about the characters, especially, you think about back to a decade ago, and that team getting on that leaderboard is impressive. So,
yeah, you get Trey back there. That was a different breed. But yeah, Alex was really strong on the ground. We were talking with several people up in the press box tonight for Steubenville, and they even said, they were like, yeah, this Piro kid, he's one of the best running backs we've seen all year. So it wasn't just Athens that notices that. It was high praise all around. He had himself one heck of a season and backed it up last week and tonight as well. He was a very special player for this team.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good segue again with the Athens season coming to a close tonight to talk about some more of these seniors who, obviously we've talked about Piro, talked about Leo Martin a lot as well. But who are some other guys that probably deserve a little shout out here? I like what Carl did there when he talked about it. As their Bulldog career comes to a close.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could start with Caden Bykowski. He's a wide receiver, safety. He punts too. He had himself very quietly had himself a really nice season. He led the team in interceptions. He had a few touchdowns through the air. He had a punt tonight that was downed inside the 1-yard line in the first quarter. So he made his presence felt in all 3 phases all season. So he's one of those guys that will be missed as well. You got up on the lines, you got Jacob Rainey and Isaiah Roberts just wreaking havoc all over the field. I mean, it was a very, very good senior class for the Bulldogs. Yeah, you got Dawson Kennedy. Yeah, the linebackers. I got Matt Frazee talking in my ear next to me, reminding me of all the guys.
Nobody better to have talking to you.
Nobody better. But the 3 linebackers highlighted with Seth Hart. He had himself a catch tonight. It was just a really good senior class. That a lot of guys will be missed. There's going to be quite a few roles to fill here going into next year.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that briefly, because while, they do lose a lot of talent, they bring back a decent amount of talent as well. I think about the running back position especially. Anthony Sutton, Weston Wheatley both return, and correct me if I'm wrong, and that's big. Having both of those guys back are monsters. They're both quick and powerful backs, and I think that could be something where the Athens could run the ball pretty effectively next year as well.
Yeah, we saw the ground attack this year, and when Alex and Weston both went down in that game against Alexander. I mean, Anthony Sutton didn't blink an eye. He was, if I remember correctly, Coach White told me that Anthony played running back in middle school coming up. So he stepped right in and he played really good at the running back position. But yeah, I if I had to guess, I think it would be Weston. Obviously he was the backup this year, so I think they and he played really well in that backup spot. So I think they give it to him next year with Anthony Sutton kind of complementing that when need be. But Matt and I were talking about it about an hour ago or so. And, we were talking about Anthony Sutton potentially could fill in as that Leo Martin type of guy on the outside, where he ran a lot of motion this year, but we could see him running a lot more deep routes next year with Heitland coming back. They're very familiar with each other, obviously. So and his speed is just unreal. So he can fly past the secondaries. Once he gets, he would take a lot of jet sweeps this year to the outside. Once he gets to that outside, it's really, really tough to catch him. So if you get him on the outside as that number one type of wide receiver, and he can just get past the secondary pretty much every single time. So I feel like he's going to step in at that role. Weston probably takes over at that running back position, and you got Heitland coming back, and that's really big too with everything that happened in the program this year, and the fact that Heitland was able to get into game action the back half of the year, and then even in these first two playoff games, that's going to serve really big dividends going into next year too, with the experience he got and playing on the defensive side of the ball too. Coach talked about all year how he feels like a natural at the position because he plays defense and he knows the defenses. So there's no doubt they're bringing talent back, but there's also no doubt that the talent that they're going to lose is going to be surely missed.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I'll ask you while you guys drive back is, it's really, honestly, and I've thought about this a lot, thinking about the Athens season over the last couple of days. It's kind of tough to put a grade on this Athens season because obviously looking at face value, it's a great year. 10-1 or 10-2, right? And the record speaks for itself. Yep. You win a playoff game for the first time since 2014. A lot of success. But again, that Nelsonville York game is going to sting for a long time. What ended up happening, they were always up against it tonight and they fought valiantly, but they come up short. So, you're somebody who watched, every minute of Bulldog football this year, you and Matt. So how would you kind of assess Athens' season as a whole? Oh, we might have. 77 is a tough drive.
Yeah, it is. It not much connection there.
Hold on, Daniel. Do we have you?
Did you guys lose me for a second there?
We did for a second, but you're back now.
Okay, I heard everything you were saying. So,
okay.
But yeah, it was a really, really good year. I mean, they dealt with a few injuries. Obviously, everything that went on with that program, the ability for guys to step up and step in and really not blink an eye. It was really cool to see. That's a group that has been together for a very long time. They've meshed and they've gelled together. It was a really, really cool team, really fun team to watch. I mean, I'll put you guys on speaker here. I'll have Matt answer.
Yeah, I'm happy to have Matt talk as well.
Yeah.
He's been Matt, one of the voices of the Bulldogs for a long time now.
Face value, just kind of what kind of season this was for this team.
I think everyone coming into the year thought that, if you could get to that 8-win mark, it was going to be a pretty good year. In comparison to years past and just kind of the progressions that we've made from season to season leading up to this. So, to get to that 9-1 mark in the regular season and 10 wins on the season total, face value, I think it was overall was a smashing success. Again, it was as he said, it was a group of kids that have played together for a very long time. But let's not forget, just a couple of years ago, they were a group of kids that were taking their lumps, en route to just 2 and 3 wins. And last year they kind of made a little bit of a stride and won the last 5 in a row and got themselves playoff eligible. And then this year they made another huge leap. But this goes to show, how good that senior class really was and what they were capable of doing. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And I think, again, all in all, it's a massively successful year for Athens. It's a program that, has had its moments and has had obviously its wild ups, a decade ago. And now, getting back to something similar to that, not quite that high height, but getting close to that level is certainly something that provides a lot of encouragement. And again, I think that the future is bright. I think that there is still a lot of talent in this program. They're going to lose some great talent in Alex Piro and Leo Martin and some of these other guys. Excuse me, but
I
go
tell
ahead.
you, Ethan, I don't think the offense falls off as much.
I don't disagree.
The defense, I think, is where there's more pieces to fill there. We got to figure out who's going to fill those roles. Between Wharton and Kaiser and Hart, those three linebackers are going to be really tough to replace. Just what those three brought every week. Then you factor in that Martin and Wyckoff, you see you're missing a corner and a safety out of the group. So you got 5 really big defensive pieces to fill. But the good news is most of the line returns. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen return. I think it bodes better for the offense than the defense. It may take the defense a little bit of time to catch up early on in the season. But again, the JV squad was pretty darn good this year. The freshman group was really good. There are pieces there. It's just we got to figure out which pieces make the puzzle fit right next year.
Yeah, and it's always good to hear. It's good for the area, and it's good for 740 football when the Athens Bulldogs are playing good football. And we saw that this year, and it was good to see them have the success that they did. Guys, get back to Athens safe. We appreciate all the work that both of you guys did this year, and make sure the Bulldogs know that they had a great year, and we appreciate being able to cover them.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work all season long too.
I appreciate you, Daniel. We'll make sure you get back to Athens safe, buddy.
Will do. Have a great rest of your show, guys.
Thank you.
See you later.
Always good to hear from those guys. And again, a great season for Athens. I say tough to judge because that game stings so much, right? I think that's the biggest thing. And, it's a rivalry game. It costs you a conference title. It's just one that's going to sting for a while if you're a Bulldogs fan. And I think if there is any Athens fans out there listening to this, I think they'd agree with me. But at the same time, I don't think you can let that cloud what, again, all in all, was an A season. Like, this was the best year post, or if not the second best or best year post Joe Burrow. You won a playoff game, which is major.
Yeah.
You go 10-2, which is 10 wins in high school football is notable. That's a big deal. And again, a lot to build on. I didn't realize 4 or 5 O-linemen, and you think about bringing back Sutton and Wheatley, they're going to be able to run the football really well next year.
Yeah,
they're
and
going to be a successful offense again.
And I think the biggest thing is, Ethan, is that they didn't let that loss to Nelsonville York define the rest of their season going into the playoffs. That's the mark of a good and well-coached football team. Again, I really do think Coach Nathan White does a great job. I think he's a great coach. He does a good job at scheming. We've seen it in the past. He was a big part of that Burrow team. He was the quarterback's coach then. He was a big reason why Joe was able to have so much success. And then, for now, he takes the reins as the head coach now, and he's done a good job. But, when he took over, from Coach Adams, who was a legendary coach in his own right, it was a program that was kind of in a little bit of a transitionary period. And now he's kind of made it his own now. Nate White has stepped up, and he has made it his own program. And I think now I think Athens is going to be a team that's consistently going to be fighting for playoff spots, for playoff wins. And I think a TVC title is not too far down the line in their future. I think that they will get one here soon. Again, like Matt said, the talent is there at the JV level. It's a big community. They're bringing guys up. And I think that this is going to be a good team for a long time. I agree with you.
Let's take another break. When we come back, plenty more to talk about here. We've got about 40 minutes left with you on Football Friday Night, presented by General Mills.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Well, good morning, everyone. We are back, and hope that you enjoyed those recaps from some of our local team coaches and the whole crew, and lots of fun stuff going on to talk about football. But unfortunately, most seasons are over, right, Pete?
Most seasons are over, but not all seasons are over. They're in the semifinals now for across the regions in the state, and we do have some teams in southeastern Ohio still alive. Ironton, Wheelersburg,
Shocker.
to name a couple. But the one I think we're focusing most on here is just over the county line, and that is Pike Eastern.
Okay.
For years, when I covered sports and I was the editor in Pike County for a while, Pike Eastern was a basketball school. There was not even a football team at Pike Eastern.
Really?
There's not been a team there for that many years, but somehow, they got good really quick.
I guess so.
And they are making believers out of a lot of folks who thought, well, really small county rural high school that haven't played football too long. As they move along, they're going to reach their level where
Yep.
they can't compete anymore. But so far, they have more than competed. They have won. They will be playing Conotton Valley at Heath High School.
Conotton Valley.
Conotton Valley.
Okay.
It's way up there in eastern Ohio, and the game is at Heath, which is in Licking County.
Yes.
So that game will be on Friday evening. I know Eric Landrum's right on the other side of this wall making preparations for Total Media's coverage of Pike Eastern. But we will go back off the football field into regular news, and something will be going on in about 14 minutes that is very, very significant.
Okay.
All right? I'm not there, I'm here, but I'll tell you what it is, and we will be following up on it. At Lake Hope State Park in Benton County, none other than Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and the top official of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Mary Mertz is her name.
Okay.
They will be there for what is truly an environmental success story right here in our own backyard.
Really?
And that is the revitalization of Raccoon Creek.
Okay.
Raccoon Creek, which flows through Vinton, Meigs, and Gallia County. It's over 100 miles long. You could argue that it's a river, but it's been called a creek, so that's what we'll call it. But in the 1970s and before that, it was almost a dead creek because of acid mine drainage up on its upper ends of its flow, coal mining and acid mine drainage going into it. I remember being told that as a boy, on our way to Pomeroy when we crossed the creek and all like that. A lot of efforts have been made over the decades to stop the acid mine drainage and to clean up the creek.
Okay.
And now the creek is fairly clean. It has 92 different species of fish, including the kind of fish that can't exist if the water isn't of a certain standard. And not only is it cleaned up, but it is going to be declared the 16th state scenic river and the very first in southeastern Ohio.
Well, look at us go.
And this is a designation that comes, because of not only the quality of the waterway, but also because of the scenery, of course, and it also affords special protections to the stream as well. And so there will be a ceremony that celebrates the designation of the Ohio Scenic River at 10 a.m. this morning, and we will be following up on that. We'll have an advanced story, I guess you could say, in our Wednesday edition of the Telegram, and it's already been on the radio as well. So we'll get more details on that. But the watershed, you got to realize that any creek or river, affects other smaller streams and rivers. And the Little Raccoon Creek, which flows through Jackson County, and some other streams even smaller than that are affected as well. And if the big creek is clean, that gives the smaller creeks a chance. And if the big creek is dirty, the smaller ones could be polluted as well. So the Little Raccoon Creek, it's the one that flows through Lake Alma State Park, and along the bike path there. And then it also goes through the Buckeye Furnace State Memorial. That's where people might see that. That's not Raccoon Creek, that's Little Raccoon Creek. But anyway, that is really something.
That is cool.
That is really something to celebrate, whether you're a greenie or not. It's just super.
No, there's nothing bad about that. All good.
Absolutely. So we'll be telling you more about that. And to me, that's the lead story of the day. But I want to backtrack, and we've tried to be committed to cover the Veterans Day things because the veterans organizations and the public officials are so good about celebrating it.
Yes.
The only couple ones that I have not talked about are ones that occurred on Monday.
Yep.
And down at Jackson Veterans Memorial Park, they had the Veterans Day ceremony there.
A lot of people there.
Right, and there was, that is Minnie Perkins right there. That was one of the best moments of the whole ceremony. She is 96 years old. Her husband, the late Chuck Perkins, was a United States Marine and a decorated veteran as well. She has been active herself in veteran. Had the honor of laying the memorial wreath there at during that ceremony, which took place at 11 a.m. On Monday. Of course, that is the very hour that the armistice was signed back in World War I, for a little history. This is Arnold Tripp, who is speaking. He was the guest speaker, the keynote speaker. He, of course, is the retired veteran service officer for Jackson County and a United States Marine. So, instead of course, this is pure Arnold, so modest. Didn't talk about himself, didn't talk about his service. He talked about how many local veterans do not take advantage of what the Jackson County Veterans Service and different veterans programs offer to veterans. They don't seem to know.
That's
They don't
great.
seem to know, or they don't take advantage of it.
Sure.
And that includes services through the Veterans Administration, which of course our Veterans Service Office can, link you up on, consult with, facilitate you getting those services. And of course, the Jackson High School Band was there as well. They always play a medley of military
cool.
songs that get your heart pumping and your patriotism alive. And it's much appreciated, their participation there, getting out on a school day to perform there on the street. Meanwhile, in Vinton County, at about the same time, they had the Vinton County Memorial or Veterans Day ceremony. It's in front of the courthouse, and William Archer is at the podium right there, Jennifer, as you see the picture Adrian put up. He is the prosecuting attorney in Vinton County, and he gave one heck of a speech talking about, the importance of veterans, how we can best pay tribute to veterans, talking about the important role that veterans had in our history, and saluting the veterans from all the wars, that may still be alive, all the way from World War II to the post 9/11 veterans. Other folks in the picture who participated from the left, as you see Mr. Archer at the podium. There's Jim Sawyer, who was the MC, former Vinton County Common Pleas judge. He was a captain in the Army. He was the MC. N. Robert Grillo, that's how he goes by. I call him Bob. He is the probate juvenile judge. He read the wartime casualty list. And that lady on the right is as courageous as any of them. She sang the national anthem.
Oh my goodness!
And that is Abby Owens. So we'll have we have a story on the Jackson Veterans Day ceremony program in our Wednesday edition, along with a lot of other Veterans Day activities that we've already talked about. And the Vinton County Veterans thing, we're getting ready now. We didn't receive some of that information until late last night. That will be in our Saturday paper. But most of the Veterans Day coverage will be in our Wednesday paper and posted online as well. All right. We also want to talk about football. We'll go back to football because even though the Jackson Ironmen season has ended, two of their players have received tremendous individual honors. Before they do all state, they do all district, all Southeastern District. This is a wide area. And two of our Ironmen in our division, which is Division III, that's kind of like middle size, they were named the top players in their category. Nolan Johnson is the player of the year for offense. He was Jackson's running back. He ran for 1,498 yards, scored 122 points.
Just a few.
Right. And he is going to the United States Military Academy, since we're talking about veterans, where he hopes to continue not only his scholastic career, but his football career.
That's awesome.
That is a great achievement, whether he plays ball or not. And the other young man who was honored was named the Offensive Lineman of the Year for Division III. And this is so notable because he is an underclassman. A lot of the postseason honors are reserved for seniors.
Sure.
Well, Jacob Allen is a junior. He played both guard and tackle for the Ironmen, 6'3", 290 pounds. he has already had a number of Division I offers.
I'd say.
So he is online to, to also maybe get his college education paid for.
Perfect.
Now, these are not where he's just gone and visited. He has got offers.
Yes.
I think the more than one MAC school, Mid-American Conference schools, and so he has one more year left, and I know Coach Andy Hall is glad for that. So congratulations to those
Way to
two
go, guys.
players in particular. There were other local players, not only from Jackson, but Vinton County, Oak Hill, and Wellston that received all district honors, but those were the top two.
Awesome.
All district player of the year honors. Also, this past weekend, let's salute our Boy Scouts. Local Boy Scouts in both Jackson and Oak Hill did the Scouting for Food program,
Yes,
Jennifer.
that's always a good one.
That's where in Jackson how it worked is they put out plastic bags on porches and doors on Saturday, November the 3rd, I think it was. And that wasn't a hint to put garbage in it. That was a hint to put non-perishable food items in it.
Yes.
Then they came back the next Saturday, which was this past Saturday, and picked up the goods. Well, all those goods are going to then be donated to local food pantries. Maybe the Jackson Food Program or whatever. I think we have a picture of that, Adrian, of the kids there at the church. See how I just wanted that picture to go up to show how
Wow.
many kids and adults there were. I don't even think that's all of them, but those were the ones who posed for a picture. How
That's
many food
awesome.
items did they get? Over 2,000.
Stop.
Over 2,000.
Wow.
So that happens. That only happens because of the initiative of the Scouts and their leaders, and of course the generosity of local citizens. You could also drop off things at the church in case you didn't get a bag at home. And this is so easy to ignore or forget, but
It is.
a lot of people don't. They remember, and so that was great for them. In Oak Hill, the Scouts down there did the program too, and what they did was they stationed themselves there in the shopping center, the Acorn Plaza, and they also got non-perishable food items also on last Saturday, and they will go to the Oak Hill Food Pantry, those food items. Very interesting program today. It's at the Christian Life Academy and the Good Shepherd Wesleyan Church, and the public is invited to come. It's not just closed to the students and the parishioners there at CLA. This should be very interesting. Today at 12:30 p.m., the daughter of a Holocaust survivor is going to speak. Morris Dowk survived the Holocaust and found his way to Columbus. His daughter, Debbie Doc Sugarman, is going to speak about the Holocaust and her father's experience.
Wow.
So that is her right there. She will be there right here near Jackson, Ohio, to speak. Melissa Morgan Boggs and the good folks at CLA and the Good Shepherd Wesleyan Church say the public can come. It'll
That's
be in the
powerful.
sanctuary at 12:30 p.m. And also, students in grades 6 through 12 at the school will be there. And I think that, if other students can be there, if there was an effort by the individual schools to have them go there, they can. So this grant is brought to CLA by a grant from the Ohio Holocaust and Genocide Memorial and Education Commission. So this isn't just some oddball thing that has happened because there's a personal connection. The school people went out and got a grant to be able to bring this to the school, right to their doorstep.
Isn't this how kids should learn, though?
It's always means something when you're talking to somebody who was involved.
For sure. Like, you can read about it in a book, or you can have a teacher talking at you about certain things, but to meet someone and to hear their true story is a whole other situation.
It's one thing, to read it in the history book. It's another thing to watch Schindler's List.
Sure.
But to actually look in the eyes of someone whose father went through that and, probably feared for their life and somehow survived, saw maybe other relatives and
gosh.
friends and comrades die in front of them. It's something that, it's hard to fathom.
Yeah.
But that is a great opportunity there. Today, the city of Wellston is doing its fall leaf pickup. It's starting today, very important. They have a leaf machine that's going to come and suck up the leaves, so you don't put the leaves in bags now.
Yes.
But you do put them next to the curb,
The
not
giant
down,
leaf
now
sucker.
not off the curb on the street because they don't want them to go down in the sewers or blow away.
Right.
But bunch your leaves up along the curb, the leaf sucking machine will come and get them. It starts today.
It's pretty cool if you've never seen it.
Yeah, they were using one in Jackson as well.
It's neat.
But the piles must be free of trash and debris. So don't think that this is a way to, put a bunch of tree limbs and other
this
debris
is
and
just
trash.
leaves.
This
Yeah.
is just leaves. And it doesn't say, how long this will be going on, but it does start today. I know they'll be making their rounds. You can call the city at 740-384-2720 or email them to let them know you have the leaves out, and they will make sure you don't get forgotten. There's only several days left to sign up for or to apply for the 2024 Wellston Fire Department Firefighters Through Kids program. That is where the firefighters, with all they do, they have a Christmas season program where they do gifts for needy students and families in the Wellston City School District. And how this works is you have to do it online. The application form is there online. You can go to the Facebook page or the website, I presume, of the Wellston Fire Department to get this form. And then to qualify, you must be in the Wellston City School District, and these gifts, and then you can see how to do it and the information to fill out, and they will do the best they can to fill all the requests. Of course, this is based on how many requests they get, how their donations go, and like this. But they've been doing it now for several years, similar to the gear grinders in Jackson and the folks in Oak Hill, the Madison Jefferson Fire Department that does a Christmas auction.
Okay.
So many good,
Love that.
and Jaffe's Joyful Christmas
Oh,
Drive
yes.
that we've talked about. They got all that money from the Kiwanis to do a good job. Just that's what Christmas is all about. All right, we want to tip our hat to the Jackson Rotary Club. They recently did the Sandy Borden Pancake Supper.
Yes.
And we want to show you some pictures from that real quick. That is the men back in the kitchen, or just three of them. From the left, Marshall Kimmel, Nick Elliott, and Kurt Wiggins. They donated their time to mix the pancake batter and to also cook the sausages back there in the oven, the sausage links. Out front, serving from the left, is April Eifler. She's flipping pancakes, so she's not looking at the camera. Melissa Sowers and Kim Harless. They served all the pancakes and sausages you could eat back on the 29th of October. That money will go to the Jackson Senior Citizens Program. So good for them. The reason I wanted to say that today is not only giving them credit for that project, but today they are doing their fall fundraiser at the Farmer Sportsman booth.
Oh.
Okay, the weather's gotten a little chilly,
Okay.
right? Well, guess what you can get there starting from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at really good prices. You can get their famous fried mushrooms.
Woohoo!
Remember, they weren't able to do the Apple Festival the last several years just because of manpower and woman power.
Yes.
It's just too big of a thing. But they still know how to do the mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
And they will be doing them from the Farmer Sportsman booth on Veterans Drive. And you can get not only the mushrooms, but they'll also be selling chili. Doesn't that sound good on a day like this?
Yes.
And hot dogs with sauce. And I'm sure they have some beverages as well. And so that is going from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and they will sell until 6 or until they sell out. So you might want to hit them at lunchtime. Excellent way to do lunch. Also, one more day for the Wellston Rotary Club, today and tomorrow. They are doing a socks and hoodies drive to benefit students at all levels of the Wellston City School District, all the way from Bundy Elementary at the youngest to Wellston High School at the oldest. Donations of hoodies and socks can be dropped off at the library on 2nd Street in Wellston. That's the Sylvester Memorial Wellston Public Library, today or tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day. Or if you know a Wellston Rotarian, give it to them and they'll make sure it gets to where it needs to go. All sorts of nice things that nice people are doing, and so we want to let people know about that. So be nice too.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Well, very good. Well, Pete, thank you for telling us the latest and greatest, filling us in on what's going on around the area. And we will be back here tomorrow, I think, with our friends from 4-H. So they always, Maddie and the gang are always so much fun to have here. So we'll find out more news and have some fun with our 4-H friends tomorrow.
They're very interactive, aren't they?
They are. A lot of fun.
They are fun.
Maddie and Josh, yep. So have a great day, everyone, and we will see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
From breaking news to heartwarming stories, the Telegram is your ticket to the latest buzz in town.
Read your daily dose of local headlines, sports, and entertainment and more in hand and on paper.
Get a print and digital subscription for only $7.95 per month. Delivered fresh every Wednesday and Saturday.
Visit thetelegramnews.com or call 740-286-3023 today.
Don't just read the news, be a part of it.